Good Thursday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Mostly sunny skies today. It'll be hot in the low 90s, south wind at 10. Mostly clear, light winds tonight, 70 to 75 for the low. A weather front coming in Friday and Friday night with showers and thunderstorms. Partly sunny near 90 Friday. And Saturday, the first day of autumn, showers and thunderstorms, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Catherine Drew. 27 European leaders meeting in Salzburg will discuss Brexit today after a plea from British leader Theresa May to consider what she called her serious plan for future relations. America's top diplomat Mike Pompeo says he's ready to restart talks with North Korea with the goal of denuclearizing the secret communist state by 2021. An Australian supermarket giant Woolworths says it will temporarily stop selling needles after several were discovered in strawberries.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday to you. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Quabila Jones, and my guest today, for part one of today's show, is Mr. Bobby Long, who is the current city councilman for Ward 6, Position 1. Good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Good morning.
All right, so thank you for joining us today. Today is going to be a two-part show. But first, we're going to talk to Mr. Bobby about, first I want him to introduce himself to those of you who may not know him, and tell us how long you have been on city council.
Sure. My name is Bobby Long. I grew up in Leachville, Arkansas. Then in 85, I graduated, salutatorian in my class, come over to ASU. Graduated in 1989 with a degree in business. Met my wife, Valerie, who's a Valley View resident, graduate of Nettleton. We have twin boys, Parker and Grayson. They graduated from Jonesboro High School. And now Parker is in the ASU Sound of the Natural State Band, go ASU, all right. And playing quads music major. And my other son is actually in a school of ministry in Alabama, the Ramp School of Ministry. I've been in human resources as a director for over 16 years. I'm presently the human resource director for Families, Inc., who is a mental health counseling agency. You might see our building behind Burger King. Okay. We have several locations in Arkansas. Have 500 staff, serve close to 9,000 clients. I'm also on the Workforce Development Board of this area, and Northeast Arkansas Workforce Development Board, and I've been on the City Council for over 2 years.
2 years, okay. All right, so many people know that you are running for re-election for that position, for Ward 6, Position 1.
Yes.
So let's get into some topics that concern the citizens of Jonesboro. I know there are many, but today we're going to stick to a few, but they kind of encompass all of the others as
Sure.
well. I want to start with quality of life. That's something we hear, and I watched a few of the other public speaking events that you all have attended, and quality of life seems to be on the top of everyone's list,
Right.
When it comes to streets and sidewalks and public safety and parks and just everything in between. So
Yes.
Since you've been on city council, give us some insight to what that actually means, and then what do you hope to bring, if you are elected again, what do you hope to bring to the table concerning quality of life?
Quality of life, I think, means different things to different people. For instance, if you're an avid biker, you come into a community and quality of life to you means, are there bike trails? Are there a big network of bike trails? If you're a swimmer, then quality of life to you means, do I have access to pools and aquatic centers? If you're a walker or a runner, do I have access to sidewalks and trails and safe places to run? You know, if you're a hunter, do I have access to different hunting venues and things like that? So quality of life means different things to different people. However, I think as a city, I think what we can look at, though, is this right here. Quality of life, when you look at it as a city perspective, means, first of all, no one wants to live in a city that's not safe.
Yes.
So safety is a huge issue. Over the past 2 years, I have been a staunch supporter of our police department. You know, because let me tell you something. It don't matter if you like to ride, run, bike, whatever. If you don't feel safe where you are and in your neighborhood and walking around, then it doesn't really matter. Protection, our police and firemen. I'm a staunch supporter of those, of our police departments and fire departments. I believe we did vote, you know, to start looking at, you know, sidewalks and start improving those. What we did was, in residential neighborhoods, what was actually compromised on and position that both parties felt like they could live with, was in residential neighborhoods they're going to require sidewalks on one side of the street, and the cost that would have been incurred to put sidewalks on the other, they're going to use in order to repair existing sidewalks. You know, so that was a compromise that both sidewalk proponents and the developers lived with, and they, you know, so that was what we did. So my point on quality of life, I also have an idea that I've been supporting and promoting, is the idea of pocket parks.
Okay.
And I don't know if you're familiar with pocket parks or not. We've got a huge park, Craighead Forest Park. It's the largest city-owned park in the state. We have made major developments out there. I don't know if you've been out there lately, but it is beautiful. It is an awesome park, and I'm so glad that we've got it. It's the jewel, one of the jewels of Jonesboro.
Okay.
However, I also feel that there are areas in this city now, since we're growing so much, that is difficult for people in some areas to get to Craighead Forest in a reasonable time. I mean, right now I live out by the hospital.
Okay.
I can almost get to Paragould as fast as quicker than I can get to Craighead Forest. So my idea is to not go so big, but to go multiple areas to where they're accessible by walk. You can walk to your local park. You know, some pocket parks in California are put on less than 0.2 acres.
Okay.
So I mean, there's room for that in Jonesboro, to where areas that have high density of population, kids and families, that we can put these small pocket parks there that have, you know, they may not have a lake or whatever, but they do have access to a good walking trail,
Okay.
green spaces, trees, picnic tables, park benches, you know, a couple of gazebos and things like that. And I think that would just be an amazing thing for people to be able to walk to their local park, take a Frisbee, take a baseball, take something, be able to get out there with your family, you know, and enjoy it. And so that's one of the things that that I'm promoting as far as quality of life. What I look for as a city council member is, how can I get the most good for all the citizens of Jonesboro, you know, at a reasonable cost.
Okay.
So I'm more looking at what can we do as a whole. You know, what can we do that benefits more people, more locations, you know, and give them the opportunity to use their imagination on what they want to do. You get a big green space out there, what can you do? You can play wiffle ball, you can play Frisbee, football. You know, I believe that we've come to the point to where a lot of times we depend on the government to say, hey, you know, here is this thing over here for you to do. And then we go and do that thing. Instead of using our imagination, say, hey, you know what? This is a blank canvas. What can I do on this canvas?
Okay. All right, so just want to encourage everyone. You have a voice and you have a right to speak up and speak out and express your concerns to the city council members. You can attend city council meetings. There are other ways that Mr. Bobby's going to share how you can reach out and get your voices heard. You're tuned into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Mr. Bobby Long from the City Council, Ward 6, Position 1. All right, so I want to transition a little bit because that topic, quality of life, can go on and on because there's so many aspects of it, we can definitely talk about that forever. Let's talk about economic development or economics. Someone's going to come for me for saying it wrong. Economic development. We do have quite a few industries that are doing really well. But in my opinion, from my perspective, I would like to see more companies come in that are offering living wages to people, or I understand that people have to have certain certifications or degrees to work certain positions. I'm not naive to that. However, I would love to see a lot more opportunities, a lot more businesses that cater to as many people as possible. So what influence or what role does City Council play in bringing in or even allowing a business to come to Jonesboro?
Well, the city of Jonesboro works closely with our chambers of commerce, and also other institutions in order to go out and seek these businesses. I totally agree with you. I would like to see more middle management positions, middle management opportunities come into where people can come in on the ground floor and work their way up, to a higher wage and things like that. As they work hard and do what they're supposed to do and be where they're supposed to be on time and do those things and invest in themselves. Jonesboro's in a unique situation. Our seal, if you look at our seal, we have education, we have medical, we have industry, and we also have agriculture. So if you look at those four, we thrive in Jonesboro in every single aspect of those. We have ASU out there. Some of our public schools are I would put them, in the best, because my son graduated from Jonesboro, of course. But we have Valley View. You look at Brooklyn. West Side. I mean, those places like that. We just have good public schools. I lived in a city in another state, and for some time, and if you put them in public schools, it's like a war zone. So I mean, you had to almost put them in private schools in order to put them in an area that was that was they weren't going to get hurt. But in Jonesboro, I believe that we have outstanding public schools. We have ASU, we've got ASUN, we've got access to some VOTEC schools. And then in agriculture, we are a huge agriculture area. As same way with medical, we've had 2 outstanding hospitals, a wide variety of medical clinics to support those hospitals, as well as manufacturing. We've got a great industrial park out there. City Water and Light has some of the cheapest utilities in the country, so we've got that going for us. We have an educated workforce here that's ready to go to work. But when we go out there and we start looking at, and these companies start looking at different places, and access to educated people. What are their people going to do? What are they in proximity, to things that their people like to do? And I think with I-555 out there and the improvements on the roads and structures on the state level, I think that Jonesboro will become even more attractive to industry as it comes in. The one thing that we don't want to do as the city council is we don't want to do things and bind the hands of industry to where when they come in, they say, well, look at our building codes or look at our construction ordinances and things like that. Is it going to be possible for us to build in that area and build a facility, in a way to where it's beneficial for us, it's financially feasible?
I understand. Thank you for that. Now, what about when it comes, I know this is not necessarily economic, but housing. I know that you can't tell a developer what to build. However, looking at certain areas of the city, there have been a lot of pop-up developments, and sometimes the rent is a little bit more expensive than some people can afford. So what influence, or does the city council even have any influence with these developers to even say, okay, look at the area where you're developing, can you keep the rent, or can you make it more affordable for the people that already live there, so they're not feeling like they're forced to move to other locations that are not as adequate as where they're currently living?
Well, the city right now, we have certain guidelines that if a structure is not livable, there's certain things that it has to meet in order to be deemed livable. If it's not that way, then we contact the owner. They'll either get it up to code or it'll be condemned and destroyed. Some of these developments, that you see pop up, what we're asking the developer to do, we have building codes, and these building codes have minimum standards. In order to keep the rent low, in order to have these developers that come in and build multifamily housing and things like that, or build low-cost housing, we can't have, sometimes it's difficult. You want all the amenities, but yet you want them to charge something where they're possibly even losing money on it. So as a developer, they're in business to make a profit. Profit is not a bad word. At the same time, we've got to be able to understand that if we want something that costs $350 a month, or something like that, that it may not have granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, and things like that. It will be nice. It can be livable, and it can be, something that they can be proud of. But at the same time, we got to understand these developers, they're there to make a profit as well. And I totally understand. I think that we do have a need for that type of housing. What we don't want to do as a city council is put so much restrictions on, if you build here, then you have to have so much green space, then you have to have this, then your shrubbery has to be this, the facades have to be this, they have to be set back so much, they can only, so many restrictions to where us as a city, the next thing you know, if a builder builds something like that, he can't charge $400 a month for that, because his costs in just to maintain and build and get his money back in a reasonable amount of time becomes so large that he has to charge $800 to $1,000 just to keep up with the codes, and the ordinances and the things like that they have to comply to. So there has to be a give and take on that.
Okay, I understand. I just have seen, I live on the north side of town. I've just seen quite a few developments, and some of them are not as affordable as some of the previous units that are, in those areas. And I would just like to see over time, everyone being able to live in something nice and not have to sacrifice where they don't have to, if they don't have to.
Right.
All right. You're tuned into Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We're speaking with Mr. Bobby Long from the City Council, Ward 6, Position 1. So I want to move into community engagement. We know both of us are on social media, so I'm sure we've seen our fair share of comments made on various topics. However, people are not coming out, say, to the city council meetings, or they're not writing emails or letters to you all, or they're not contacting the mayor or in the newspaper. They're just kind of keeping it within their circle. What are some ways you would like to encourage or hope to encourage more community engagement if you are reelected?
Okay, there's a couple of things that I'm doing right now that I will continue to do. And if it doesn't happen, until November 6th, if it happens before then, great. If it happens after, and I'm reelected, I will continue to promote this idea. Even if I'm not elected, I'm still going to continue to promote these ideas. However, as it stands right now, there are multiple ways that people can find out what's going on in the city. If they go to www.jonesboro.org, they can go to agendas and minutes. They can look at the actual agenda. They can look at a schedule of when the city council meetings are going to be, and all the other committee meetings as well. MAPC, finance, public safety, all those committee meetings are outlined there when they're going to be. If the agenda has already been posted, they can pull up a PDF of the agenda. If the meeting has already happened, they can even watch a video of that meeting. There are multiple ways that you can even contact your city council member. For instance, I may be Ward 6, Position 1. Where that comes into play is, for me, in order to run for that position, I have to live in that ward. However, when it comes to voting, the vote is a citywide vote, which means that even though you live on the north side of town, if I'm fortunate enough to earn your vote, you could come in and vote for me, even though you live out in another ward.
Okay.
So the vote is a citywide vote. The only restriction that I have is I can't run for like Ward 4 because I don't live there.
Okay.
I can run as a representative of Ward 6. However, when it comes to voting, it is a citywide vote, and you can vote for myself if I'm fortunate enough to earn your vote. Now, as far as contacting your city council, if you go to council members, there's a picture, there's my phone number, and my contact, my email. The same way with the mayor, the same way with any department director, same way with the chief of police, the fire chief. You can contact us at any time. Matter of fact, I got a phone call one Sunday night at about 9 o'clock at night from a constituent, and they raised some concerns, and we didn't get off the phone till after 10.
Wow.
Now, please, if it's not an emergency, please don't call, However, if it is an emergency and you feel like it's something that you need to talk to me about, even though I live in Ward 6, if you don't live in my ward, feel free to contact me. The way I look at it is I represent everyone in Jonesboro. I have the viewpoints, and opinions from that ward, though, So, yes, please contact any one of us. And I can say this right now, the board, the members that we have right now on City Council, there's not a one of us who does not have the best interest of Jonesboro in mind. And they are willing to talk to us. I know I can name off several right now, that I know would be willing to talk to you. But I am also. So please reach out to me if you have a question, if you have a concern. And also get online, get involved, come to the meetings, voice your opinions. We value that tremendously.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. Bobby Long. We will look forward to seeing you more around town leading up to the elections. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I do encourage everyone to please go out and vote. This has been Mr. Bobby Long for part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.